Yeah, many others are as well.
Of course.
Why did you decide to call him out in the first place?
Yeah, I mean, you know, this is one of the things that you sort of grapple with on a daily basis. And it's actually my husband that gets the Google alerts on my name. So, like, you know, I don't have to see everything that everyone is saying about me. But he flagged this one for me and said, you know, I thought you should know about it. And then we kind of took a couple days to think about whether it was worth responding. And a couple things. I mean, first of all, he has millions of listeners. And this transcript was up on the internet for all to see. And I didn't want that to be out there without me sort of setting the record straight. But really more importantly, slut shaming is a very common tactic that is employed against women to sort of shut down their voices, to make them irrelevant, to say that they can't be leaders. And I didn't want this particular incident to go unchallenged. I wanted other women to know that, you know, you can speak out, you can fight back, and people like this can be held at least somewhat to account.
At least the truth can be out there.
Yeah.
There were party pictures of you when you were 28 years old, completely clothed.
I was a little younger. I was like 22.
Okay, fine,
so
22.
Of
15,
age.
Fully clothed. The point is, he hears, you know, he hears something, he spins it, he lies about you on national radio, and there's really no consequences. Do you think in a case like this about suing?
The thought has occurred to me, and I mean, based on the legal advice that I've received, even for someone like myself who's a public figure, where there's an added, you know, level of scrutiny, you have to prove actual malice, which just means that they either knew it was a lie or there was a reckless disregard for the truth. I think he quite clearly meets that level, right? He didn't care. I mean, none of this was remotely true, and he didn't care.
Let me ask you about a very, very, very different lawsuit, but it's still in the realm of legal matters.
Sure.
Really interesting development this week about lawsuits filed by the family of murdered DNC staffer Seth Rich. The family sued Fox News a while back, claiming the network...
All right, the New York Times walking back portions of its report of a new sexual misconduct accusation against Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh, admitting the so-called victim has no recollection of the decades-old incident.
Here to react, Fox News contributor and former NYPD officer, Dan Bongino. Dan, take it away.
Yeah, listen, guys, very rarely do stories get under my skin and burrow in like a tick. This is a cosmic, international, M-theory-like multiple universes level disgrace to humankind. The New York Times, because I want to get past the emotions and get some points. The New York Times is a disgrace. This is not a newspaper anymore, okay? Let's put that to bed. This is not the paper of record. This is the paper of hot garbage. This is a conspiracy theory blog at this point, nothing more. Let me correct something. There's no new accusation. Okay, are we all clear on this? There is no new accusation against Brett Kavanaugh. That should never, ever be. Here's what really happened. A Democrat-connected lawyer who doesn't like Brett Kavanaugh says he saw something and Brett Kavanaugh may have exposed himself to a woman in some way. The alleged victim of this has no memory of the incident at all. So let's be clear here. There's no new allegation.
Open borders. I mean, these are just a few of the many socialist, communist things that these Democrats want to do to all of you. And you know, in the past, it used to be, well, there was just, you know, a slight difference in policy. You know, maybe one wanted to do a little bit more spending than the other. And maybe this party wanted to cut a couple of, you know, regulations away. And it used to be, you know, normalcy. Now it's life and death. These people's policies will literally kill millions of Americans. So it's no more a choice, okay? Now, whether you like President Trump or not, I happen to absolutely love the man. But if you like him or not, I don't care. Because you know what? You're going to vote for President Trump. You know why? Because you don't have another choice. Because the other choice is misery, failure, depression, poverty, drugs, crime, war, you name it, that's what your future looks like. So anyone that says, well, Trump didn't put this person in jail yet, Trump didn't do that, get out of here. He's building the wall. The economy is the greatest it's ever been in the history of the United States, period, end of story, okay? And the fact that he's done all this in 3 years or less. And when he gets reelected, he's going to do even more. So I don't want to hear in the comment section or anywhere else that President Trump isn't doing this and President Trump's not doing that. Suck it up, Buttercup, and vote for 2020. and vote for President Trump.
Says, I have no memory of this incident at all. Listen to me, guys, and Katie, this is a dad, okay? I don't know Brett Kavanaugh, but I was a Secret Service agent in the White House when a lot of people who did know him were there who I've spoken to. Brett Kavanaugh is not only a good man, he is a great man. I can't vouch for him personally, but I can vouch for the people who told me this and know him. What's happening to this guy is a disgrace in this country. It is an embarrassment. This guy has to go to his church and look at his fellow members of his church and his family while these reports are being written about him in the paper. This is a disgrace.
And I just think it's important for people to understand they wrote the story and then they amended the story, but they stick to the story. And the quote was, the female student declined to be interviewed and friends say she does not recall the episode. Now, this is all part of a book. Now, we all know newspapers oftentimes will take an excerpt from a book and they'll say this is a big book and here's some excerpts, whether it's Kitty Kelly or Andrew Pollack, who was just on. And the New York Post paid for that. Just if you want to take an excerpt from a book, take an excerpt from the book. But instead you come up with a new story, you say you're breaking news in an opinion column, and then you...
It's been more than 70 years since Jackie Robinson broke barriers as the first African-American to play in Major League Baseball. He would go on to become a civil rights activist, a friend of Martin Luther King Jr. And today, his daughter is writing about that fight, about what became her fight, a new novel called A Child of the Dream. Sharon Robinson recalls growing up during the civil rights movements, working with her father for equality, and she writes, quote, during our dinner table conversation, we always had some time to talk about what was happening with us kids. But it always moved into what was happening outside of our home. So we were very focused on what kind of social changes were happening. It wasn't just about the civil rights movement. I watched political news. I was very involved with politics with my dad. So that was part of my relationship with him. This connection.
Slut shaming. That's how Crystal Ball, a host for Hill TV, is describing conservative radio host Rush Limbaugh's recent attacks against her. Earlier this month, Limbaugh made up a story claiming that Ball posed nude in photos when she was 14 or 15. That is crazy. It's completely false. Ball called him out for that, slamming his comments in an address on her show and on Twitter. So on Thursday, Limbaugh came out and he kind of sort of issued a correction. He kind of clarified his comments, but he seemingly doesn't know how to apologize. Here's what he said on the air.
I was under the impression that when she ran for Congress that some nude photos of her from social media had surfaced. Well, it turns out that that wasn't quite true. You want to be famous?
Limbaugh went on to mock her throughout the segment. Let me just, Rush, start by saying, I'm sorry. I screwed up. And try that. Practice that in the mirror, Rush. Anyway, Crystal is here with me. Crystal Ball, she's a host of Hill TV's Rising, and joining me now for an interview about this. Crystal, thanks for being here.
My pleasure.
I don't think Rush is ever going to learn how to say sorry. I don't think I'll be able to teach him.
I'm not holding my breath on that one.
I agree with you. But I was struck by your decision to come out and talk about this because you are the subject of attacks quite frequently from right-wing media.